There's a lot of elements of Carol and Captain Marvel that I admire that made me interested in wanting to take it on. But I think one aspect that really intrigued me was the fact that she's flawed, the fact that she makes mistakes in this movie, that she is very powerful and takes really big risks. She's confident and bold in that way, but that doesn't always mean that it plays out the way that she hopes it would. But you watch her get back up again and try again. And I think that's what life is all about, is taking the big risk and then atoning for the mistakes along the way. Because this is an exploration in one avenue of what female strength can look like, it was important to me that I put myself in that position myself, to not just say, oh, I just put on a magical costume and suddenly I'm super strong. Is that I put my body and my mind to the test and was able to do something that was way outside of my comfort zone and way beyond what I thought was possible. I mean, my goal of training for 9 months was just to see how far I could go. I would have never thought that I could deadlift 225 pounds by the end, or hip thrust 400 pounds, or be able to do pull-ups and push-ups, weighted push-ups. I mean, the things that I'm able to do with my body now are incredible, and I love that I can sit here and say that it's possible and that women can do incredible things, girls can do incredible things, and we can go toe-to-toe with the boys. We meet Carol, and she knows herself as Veers. She's living on the planet Hala, is part of an elite group of noble warriors called the Star Force. And that's her identity. Her identity is this planet and protecting it and the folks that are closest to her. And then something happens, this sort of freak accident happened, which allows her to unlock certain memories that are happening in her brain that at first she thinks are maybe implanted because they seem so far removed from the world that she knew and the people that she loves. And the film is exactly that, of her trying to uncover more memories and figure out where it is that she came from. And I think it's a really unique and special part of this film that you're not following a woman who's trying to get to somewhere. She's trying to get to herself. The Star Force are an elite squad. Each of them has their own sort of unique gift that they bring to it, and they form this cohesive unit. One of the things that I love about them is how diverse the cast is within Star Force. And they all kind of fit in together to complete something that's really powerful. I got the opportunity to have a front row seat to Sam Jackson creating the origin of a character that we have all loved and watched for a decade. Uh, Getting to see him backtrack, a man who is just, a master class in itself. It was such a treat, and I felt so excited because it's also, with movies like this, they're so secretive, so it's very private. So the things that I got to witness for a long time, nobody else was going to be able to see, and I held that dearly.
Being able to introduce the characters, being able to organize them. I guess Nick Fury becomes what we, I guess, know as a master manipulator. That's his superpower. He knows how to bring people together and manipulate them to get them to do what needs to be done to serve the greater good. Part of the challenge for this particular film, Captain Marvel, being that, I got two eyes and it's 20 some, almost 30 years ago, I kind of have to forget who Nick Fury is at this particular juncture in the movies that I've done before, because he hadn't formed those opinions yet. And he's essentially a bureaucrat, or an alphabet badass in one of those government alphabet things. He's still a badass, but he kind of takes orders. He listens to people that are above him. He wants to call in and tell them what's going on, and not necessarily keep it to himself and see what path is going down so he can make it his. There is a buddy cop element to it with me and Carol, uh, and it almost develops like a lethal weapon kind of thing. I mean, we meet, we're kind of in an adversarial position. We don't have to have a knockdown, drag out fight to become buddies, but we have to come to a place where I understand something about her, she understands something about me, and there's a level of trust in that belief of who each person is and helping that person discover something. She helps me discover things about myself, and I help her discover things about herself. What Brie brings to this is that level of respect of an audience that I'm talking about. Um, she's she's done a very serious movie, and she won an award for. She's done a very funny movie with Amy Schumer that people loved and laughed at, and she's been in an adventure story that I happen to be in with her, where we're running from a big hairy monster. But she also has this real life thing that's very genuine for young women and women in general, where she's a champion of women's rights. She's a believer in the equality of standards for everybody to live by. And people respect her for that.
I've been a big fan for a very, very, very long time. I watch the movies with my friends, we have big discussions afterwards, and it's a whole thing. And I've been aiming to be a part of the MCU for at least, like properly, at least 2 years now. So now that this has happened, it's like being a tourist somewhere that you know. It's like being to the same country, being in the same country like 10 times, and then going for the first time every time you go to work. That's kind of what it feels like. It's pretty brilliant, is what I'm saying. I was very excited when I found out they were going to give Marvel's first superhero, very most powerful superhero, I might add, her chance in the limelight and give her a chance to tell her whole story from the beginning. And we will see in years to come to the end. Maria Rambeau is a female, very confident, very amazing former fighter pilot. She is someone who was capable of many, many things in her occupation, but didn't necessarily get to fly. She's from a male-orientated environment, so Carol being on the same Air Force base as her was something that comforted her being away from home, that comforted her knowing that she could really do this thing. So they literally stuck together like glue. I think that's why Captain Marvel's going to be so special, because there's so many little parts of the movie that are like little independent movies. And it's great to have Ryan Fleck and Anna Boden, because they come from that background. So they're bringing such a niche, artistic, artsy, particular, but very free-flowing experience to Marvel. So it was a real treat to have them on board for my first Marvel movie. Brie, I was a big fan of for a long time. I think she's amazing. Every single person I meet, I'm like, oh, by the way, just so you know, for your personal knowledge, that Brie's amazing. Sam has been great to get to know and been very, very good to do this first Marvel movie for me, because he's done all of them. Like, he knows exactly what he's talking about, and he knows how to maneuver around this set like water. So that's great to capture.
Well, initially it was just a thrill, and it's like being invited to a party, you know, and you've heard about who's been at the party for the last few years, and you know some of those people, and you admire all of those people, and it sounds like a good party, and then you suddenly realising you haven't had an invitation yet. So what's the matter with you? So to get an invitation is a good feeling. What they've seen in Anna and Ryan is a team that bring a kind of humanity, a morality, a sense of humour. There's a quick wit and a kind of smartness to the storytelling, because it's quite a complex story. and following the reiterations of the script and the rewrites and redrafts of the order in which the story is told has been really interesting. They've got a great sense of storytelling and rhythm, which has been forensically reworked so that it delivers and it reveals its secrets in just the right order at just the right time. Anna and Ryan, with this unusual combination with the Marvel world, and Brie. I just admired Brie, and I thought she was a fantastic piece of casting for the role of Veers Carol, Captain Marvel, and it's good to say it out loud. So all those elements, really, all those elements. He feels responsible for guiding and containing her skill sets, honing her abilities, and trying to keep her mind from drifting into the more human, emotional places, and becoming therefore more focused and driven and slightly less emotional, which is rather more Kree, and it's certainly more Star Force. And so that it's a tight relationship, but you know, Veers being who she is, the humanity still leaks out. Well, it's a good combination of fun, and then you know, on the odd day you get to really, you know, what I say, sort of play tennis, which is, you know, I always think the metaphor for acting, you want to play against someone who can raise your game. And I arrived with a couple of months to train up and do some of the fight choreography, and she'd already been here like 3 months. So I mean, her dedication is extraordinary. She was really led from the front, and she arrives with great spirit and really well prepared, and it's fun to be around. I think having a character as powerful as Captain Marvel suddenly on the good side is going to be wonderfully exciting. And I think the fact that it's a woman, I think there's a fantastic sense of female strength and intelligence that's really unique to this character and particularly to this film. I think it's going to add a whole other string to their bow, if you like.
Oh, it feels great to be in the Marvel cinematic world. Certainly, they're creating a world for everybody to somewhat exist in a way that, you know, some of those characters, like my character from, you know, Korath from Guardians of the Galaxy, exists, you know, has a life, you know, has a backstory in a way. In some of these, you know, stories. So Captain Marvel is for my character, it's almost like a backstory coming to life. Obviously, we have a tremendous cast here. Brie Larson, obviously, who's, you know, keeps us somewhat grounded. Sam Jackson, it's great to see him again. We have an amazing Jude Law. We have an amazing cast, actually.